have actually valued virtual. There are benefits to virtual. And then there are some things that are done better face to face. And so what are the hybrid things that we have learned from this? And then, for example, there has been a huge increase in terms of intimate partner violence when people are ending up in a closed room and a closed home for a long period of time. And we're going to continue seeing that until such a time as it's safe for people to actually ask for help. And so we're learning what kind of things we can do virtually and what kind of things will need to happen in a face-to-face setting. So we're starting to do more of the face-to-face. For example, with our men's groups, we've needed to switch that back to a face-to-face context because it is just done much better in a physically distanced, safe way, but face-to-face as opposed to virtual. But also, we're recognizing that it's quite likely we're going to be doing a next wave of COVID, that this is not going to be over
anytime soon.
And so what are the things that we can learn from this round of it as we move to future rounds? And the whole area of technology and virtual is a huge component of this. And so how we need to build up our capacities in that area in order to be prepared for whatever is coming up next.
This is another edition of the Conversation Lab. We're speaking with Rod Santiago of Archway Community Center. I'm curious, I've read a number of reports that suggest that by the end of the year, 30% of the not-for-profit organizations in Canada will have to close their doors. Any suggestions or thoughts?
It worries me. And a lot of that has to do with some underlying issues to why it's hard, and they're long-term issues. I've got staff members who, like I said, we're passionate about the things we're doing, and we're not doing this to get rich. We never have been. I've got team members who have second and third jobs in order to do the things that they believe in order to achieve the mission and vision that we're striving for. I have staff members who themselves access the food bank in order to be able to do the things that we believe in. And we've got to be able to change those kinds of things. We've got to, we talk about our sector being an essential service, and yet we don't pay for this sector as though it's an essential service. And when you talk about 30% of this sector not being able to make it through, part of the reason is because of issues around retention issues. It's about not recognizing it for the value of the work that's being done.
Is it a societal issue?
It is both of those pieces. So it is that larger context of the value of what it is that's being done. When you consider what is being done by this particular sector and the importance of taking care of one another, the importance of people who actually help, for example, youth who are, let's say, in foster care, and provide them with the skills when they're 19 years old, help them to develop the skills to then have 96% success rate, when prior to that they didn't know how to cook, didn't know how to do banking, didn't know how to live on their own, but then end up with 96% success rate to live on their own and then make it in society, when prior to that they may have lived in 10 or 15 different group homes. And then you put a value on their salary that's really, really low, or on another another worker's life and say, yeah, that their salary is not worth very much, but they're the ones who help a newcomer to actually succeed in terms of learning English and then getting a successful job in our community. And that newcomer then becomes a strong contributing member of our society. Or somebody else who is supporting someone day in and day out with their developmental disabilities in a group home. Those kinds of individuals who just pour their heart out on a daily basis. I think it does help us to rethink. These are individuals who have degrees, who have years and years of expertise in terms of what they do. Yeah, they're worth what they do.
I'm thinking about, what's going on in social media, talking about the heartbreak that's happening south of the border. But it's those stories that you're sharing that give me hope. So
it really does.
I'm really glad you never became a dentist.
I will tell you, though, that, for example, with our food bank, we have 3 dental chairs in our food bank. And our premise with our food bank, it's called More Than a Food Bank. And we quickly came to realize that there were individuals coming in who couldn't eat because of the pain in their mouth, and who also couldn't get jobs because of the way their teeth looked, and could not get a place to live because when they would apply and the way their teeth looked, they were selected out. And so our manager, Dave Murray, would talk to dentists about this and dental technicians. And then they said, that is not right. And so they put in their own money and their own time and developed a dental clinic in our food bank so that this social injustice could be changed.
So there are ways to deal with this adversity.
There are ways to change our community, and it's by all of us being a part of it.
Nicely said. What keeps you up at night?
One of the pieces is what I'd been alluding to there. So it's for our agency, but it's also for our entire province. There are so many men and women, most of them, about 80% of them are women, about 17,000 workers who are not getting the wages that they deserve. We're dealing with an issue called low wage redress, where they're not getting the wages they deserve simply because they're not part of the union. And so they are, at this point, we had negotiated some wages about 15 months ago. And as part of this process, it was turned around. And as a result of that turnaround, about 17,000 workers got the short end of the stick. And so we're currently trying to find a way so that those 17,000 workers would get equal pay for the equal work that they do. So that's the kind of thing that keeps me up at night.
That's a hard one. That's very tough. So what haven't we talked about that we should talk about?
I'd just want to say, in terms of here in our community, the kinds of things that we're aiming for the next 3 years are 3 key areas. One is around mental health and mental wellness, because we acknowledge that the area of mental health is a growing area that's a huge gap. And even during the time of COVID, it's a huge area that has been identified and continues to be identified as a key area of need. And so I want to raise that as a key need, and across the nation, that continues to be a key need. Another area in our community is seniors, where there's just so many shortcomings and shortfalls. And then the third area for our community is Indigenous relations, where we just acknowledge and recognize that both for within our own agency and then in community overall, we just have a lot of growing to do. So yeah, those are key areas for us where we've got a lot to continue to develop and continue to a lot of work where we need to grow in.
I'm not really sure how to frame this question, but you talked about 17,000 workers and the inequality of their wages. You've brought up many social justice issues. We touched on racism and the treatment of marginalized and vulnerable communities. It's all very sad, the way so many people are treated. How do you keep doing the work that you do?
I'm exhausted. Yeah, there are days of wanting to say it's time to pass this on to younger people, and yet at the same time, I am also I see so much hope in what is changed on an ongoing basis. It is the glimmers of hope. It is the being able to see that this is not the same place that it was 5 years ago that keeps me pursuing. It is knowing that we are doing the right thing. It's knowing that if I don't do this, then like somebody's got to be willing to be a part of this. And I'm a part of that somebody. And I'm just a part. We're all a part of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've all got to take a part of it.
Well, again, I'm really glad you didn't become a dentist. We're very fortunate to have you with us. I really want to thank you for I know how busy you are. I really want to thank you for taking time to talk about Archway and the work that you do.
Thank you so much, Don, for giving the opportunity to speak.
If we want to find out more, we can go to archway.ca.
Archway.ca.
Okay.
And find out about Abbotsford. Abbotsford's a really unique community where the way we do things is about doing it together.
Which is fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay, Rod, again, I want to thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Don.
We've been speaking with Rod Santiago of Archway Community Services. For more information, you can visit archway.ca. That's another edition of the Conversation Lab. This radio program and podcast is produced by CFRO FM in Vancouver's downtown east side on the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Our gratitude and thanks to them, as well as the many not-for-profit organizations and community groups for their support. If you enjoyed this program, please consider becoming a member of Co-op Radio to help support programs like these. If you know anyone or an organization with a story to share, please let them know about us. We can be found at coopradio.org, theconversationlab.ca, and on many social media and podcasting platforms. Kimit Sekon, John Massacar, and Julian Anton have helped produce this program. Thanks, guys, and thank you for dropping by the Conversation Lab.